Your tenant is 3 days late. Do you send a notice, call them, wait it out? The wrong move here can cost you thousands. You're already losing money every day rent is unpaid. Ignoring the problem or handling it poorly guarantees you'll lose even more. This isn't about being a bad person. It's about protecting your investment and your sanity. Let's talk about the first 72 hours. Your lease agreement dictates when rent is due and if there's a grace period. Most California leases specify rent due on the 1st, with a grace period extending to the 3rd or 5th. During this grace period, you do nothing. No calls, no emails, no texts. Interfering before the grace period expires can be seen as harassment, and it sets a terrible precedent. Your lease is a contract. Honor its terms. On day 1 after the grace period expires, the late fee kicks in. Immediately. Don't wait. Your lease should clearly state the late fee amount. For example, if your lease states a $75 late fee after the 3rd, and rent isn't paid by the 4th, that $75 is now owed. You are not a bank offering free credit. Data shows that consistent enforcement of late fees significantly reduces repeat late payments. Landlords who waive late fees even once report a 40% higher incidence of subsequent late payments from the same tenant. But wait, there's a catch. Your late fee must be reasonable. In California, courts view excessive late fees as unenforceable penalties. A late fee typically shouldn't exceed 5 to 10% of the monthly rent. If your rent is $2,000, a $100 late fee is generally acceptable. A $500 late fee is not. Ensure your lease clearly defines the late fee, when it applies, and that it adheres to California law. If rent and late fees are not paid by the end of the grace period, you immediately issue a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. This is not a suggestion. It's a legal requirement before you can initiate an unlawful detainer action, also known as an eviction. Get this wrong, and your entire case is thrown out, costing you weeks and thousands. The notice must be in writing, state the exact amount of rent due, including any permissible late fees, and demand payment within 3 calendar days. It must also clearly state that the tenant must pay the rent or quit the premises. Crucially, the notice must be served correctly. How do you serve it? Personal service is best. Hand it directly to the tenant. If they aren't home, you can perform substituted service, leave it with a person of suitable age and discretion at the property, and mail a copy by first-class mail. The 3-day clock starts the day after personal service or the day after mailing if substituted service is used. If you can't do either, post and mail is an option. Affix a copy in a conspicuous place on the property and mail a copy. Weekends and holidays count towards the 3 days, unless the final day falls on a weekend or holiday, in which case it extends to the next business day. A common mistake. Some landlords try to add utility charges or other non-rent items to the notice amount. Don't. California law is strict. Only past due rent and permissible late fees can be included in a 3-day notice to pay or quit. Including anything else invalidates the notice and your subsequent eviction attempt. This single error costs landlords an average of 4 to 6 weeks in court. While the 3-day notice is processing, you can initiate contact. This isn't about being soft, it's about being strategic. Your goal is to get paid without escalating to an eviction if possible. When you call or text, your tone should be firm but professional. Avoid accusations or emotional language. Here's a script that works. Hi, tenant name. I'm calling about the rent for property address. As of today, date. The outstanding balance is rent amount plus late fee. We delivered a 3-day notice to pay or quit on date notice served. I wanted to check in and see what your plan is for payment. Is there anything I can do to help facilitate that? Notice the lack of judgment. You're simply stating facts and asking for their plan. This approach often elicits a more honest response than an aggressive demand. A study of landlord-tenant interactions found that landlords who used a problem-solving language rather than accusatory language resolved 60% more late payment issues without legal action. Your objective is not to be liked, it's to get paid. Should you offer a payment plan? Sometimes. Offering a payment plan can save you $5,000 to $10,000 in eviction costs and lost rent, not to mention the stress. But you only offer one if the tenant initiates the conversation about their inability to pay the full amount immediately, and only after the 3-day notice has been served. Never offer a payment plan before serving the notice. It undermines your leverage. Here's when to consider it. If the tenant has a good payment history, a plausible reason for the late payment, e.g. unexpected medical bill, temporary job loss, and a concrete plan for how they will pay. Do not offer a payment plan if this is a recurring issue or if they offer vague excuses. Any payment plan must be in writing. It must specify the total amount due, the new payment schedule, and clearly state that if any payment in the plan is missed, the original 3-day notice remains valid, and you will proceed with the eviction process without further notice. For example, if rent is $2,000 and they can pay $1,000 now and $500 in 2 weeks, and the remaining $500 2 weeks after that, document it. Get their signature. This written agreement is your safety net. If the 3-day notice expires and rent is still not paid, and no viable payment plan is in place or adhered to, you initiate the unlawful detainer action. This is not personal, it's business. Delaying here costs you money every single day. The average eviction in California takes 30 to 45 days, sometimes longer. During that time, you are likely receiving no rent. When do you wait? You wait if you have a signed, legally binding payment plan that the tenant is actively adhering to. You wait if you're in active, productive communication with a tenant who has historically been reliable and genuinely needs a few extra days. You do not wait if the tenant is ignoring you, making empty promises, or has a history of late payments. Every day you delay filing an eviction after the notice expires can cost you $50 to $100 in lost rent and holding costs. A quick calculation: if rent is $2,000 and you delay filing by 2 weeks, that's $1,000 you've effectively given away. Your job is to make decisions based on financial reality, not emotional appeals. Implement an auto-pay system for your tenants. Making it easy for them to pay reduces late payments by up to 85%. Consistency is everything. Apply your late fee policy the same way every single time, without exception. California's 3-day notice must be served correctly, with the exact amount of rent only, or it's invalid in court. A well-structured payment plan in writing can save you $5,000 to $10,000 in eviction costs and lost rent. Finally, making it effortless for tenants to pay on time through tools like autopay drastically reduces your late payment headaches. Powered by LeaseBase Intelligence.